So, I've been trying to figure out how to shoot this video. I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. Um, I've there's certain things that have that go on in my life that I choose not to really share in my vlogs that I've done. And half of it's the reason why a lot of my videos have slowed down. I briefly mentioned in my last video that I have anxiety, and um, it's not just a simple like, oh, I get a little nervous or anything like that. My anxiety is on the mild to moderate side, I would call it. I mean, probably a little more moderate. It's not necessarily severe, um, but it's something that affects my life. It affects my husband and my kids, and it really affects everything quite deeply. And when I mentioned it in my other video, it had gotten a little bit of attention because apparently it's something a lot of people don't talk about. And I don't necessarily not talk about it because I'm ashamed of it. I don't talk about it because every time I've ever brought it up, I always get, people giving me suggestions like, well, have you tried this or have you tried that? Or, oh, just get over it. Or, stuff like that. I kind of get unsolicited advice. My anxiety, I really started getting it when I was in probably my freshman year in high school. Let me explain. Everybody has different kinds of anxiety. If you're someone who has anxiety, your anxiety symptoms are not going to be the same as mine. Your triggers are not going to be the same. We're different people. So what I feel might not be what you feel. So for me, I have my anxiety it stems around illness. I have this fear of being sick in public, and it causes me a lot of strain. And it never, throughout high school, I also have IBS, and IBS is irritable bowel syndrome, and everybody's is different. Again, that's also not the same. A lot of people think that IBS is like this really disgusting thing and you just can't control your bowels. Well, some people have that. Mine's not like that. Mine is a matter of I lack the good bacteria in my stomach to digest food properly, and so I have to take probiotics, which also irritate my stomach. So just about every day I have nausea and just all around just don't feel well. So I've had that for most of my life, for as far back as I can remember, easily middle school, and I'm sure before that. And that illness feeling, it carried on with me. I was always afraid that I was going to get sick. Like if I went to school one morning and that particular morning my stomach was upset, I would cry and I'd feel like basically like I was going to die because I'm like, I don't feel well. I'm going to get sick at school. I don't want to go. So in high school, Andrew, my husband, he had a car. So I would skip school. It would trigger me so bad that I would sit in his truck from the beginning of school until school ended at the end of the day. I wouldn't go anywhere. I wasn't going to stores or anything. I would literally sit in there and do my homework and pretty much pity myself. And then as I got older and after I got pregnant with my daughter when I was 16, 17, it started to go away. It never bothered me to the point where I couldn't go places. I traveled with my family. My husband and we would go to water parks and we'd just go on vacation and all that stuff. And then as I got older, it started to affect me a little here and there. I'd have triggers and it would set me back. And I'm not even sure I'm making sense. Basically, my IBS makes me not feel well, and it triggers anxiety. And I'm afraid of not feeling well in public. When I don't feel well, I don't know how everyone else is, but when I don't feel well, I shut down. I can't like, oh, I'm sick. I'm just going to keep trugging. I'll be fine. I said trugging. I'm going to keep chugging along. I can't do that. My husband could be throwing up and he's still going to go to work. I don't do that. I shut down. I curl up in a ball and I just stay there until I'm better. And it's something that's gone with me. So recently, I've been dealing with this for a long time. I've had IBS forever. My anxiety has kind of come and gone. It's been mostly mild, I would say, for most of my life, and then significant setback this summer. There's a virus that goes around where it's the 24-hour bug and you're throwing up, and my daughter got it, and my son got it, and then my other child got it, and then I got it, and my husband got it, and it was just this uncontrollable. And mind you, we own our home, but it's a small home. We don't have a big home, and we have one bathroom for 6 people, and it just sent me into a panic. And over the summer, this last summer, we went on a camping trip. Our very first camping trip with everybody as a family in a tent. We had gone camping before and stayed in cabins, but this was the first tenting trip we've been on. And I was fine the first day, and then later on that night, that not feeling well started to set in, and then because we were in a tent, I had to walk quite a distance to get to the bathroom, and it just, if I don't have a bathroom nearby or easy access to one, it makes me panic. So that whole camping trip, it was constant anxiety and panic, and just, I felt out of control, and I couldn't get myself in a position where I could calm myself down. And so we ended up having to leave our camping trip. We went to the front desk people, and Andrew had to tell them that I was ill and we had to leave, and they ended up giving our money back. And then from that point on, it's been like I'm terrified to go anywhere because I'm afraid that illness is going to get me. And August, I'd say like from September until February. So September of last year until February of this year, I didn't leave my house. I wouldn't get groceries. I wouldn't even go down the road to my mom's house. I just couldn't go anywhere. For that fear, it held on to me. And then I was forced to leave in February. I had to go to the dentist. And even going to the dentist, I called and I rescheduled and I rescheduled and I rescheduled and I'd cancel. And then they were starting to get angry. And my husband said, I'm staying home. I'm taking you in the car and you're going to the dentist because I really needed to go. And so I went to the dentist. I uncontrollably and aggressively shook the entire time I was in the dentist office. She wasn't even doing anything. It was my dentist had moved to a new office, and she was just doing like a new patient thing. Even though I had seen her for years, she had to do it, and it was like a cleaning that she couldn't even do the cleaning. I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna be sick. I was shaking the entire time. I couldn't sit still. And so I left, and when I left, I felt okay. Like I felt like I was going to just throw up right there, and I felt out of control, and I had to leave. And as soon as I left, that anxiety rush just left me. I'm like, I'm free. I'm out of there. I'm fine. And then it was another like couple of months that went by, and a event happened in an area where I live, where it was like a kids an indoor kids fair where they had like food vendors and bounce houses and stuff like that, and you had to pay money to do it, and it wasn't cheap to go, not for a family of 6. And so I bought the tickets, and I knew, I'm like, if I buy these tickets, because they're so expensive, it's going to force me to go because I can't waste this money. And I said, okay. It was really hard for me to get out the door. And then the whole drive there, my husband drove, I was shaking. My palms were sweaty. I was nauseous. I kept, like, the whole way there, my brain's going, what can I say to get out of this? How can I come up with an excuse to turn around and go home? And I kept thinking, well, maybe I'll just ask him now. Like, if I ask him, can you take me home and you take the kids? I know that he would be upset about it, but he would do it. He would turn around and he would take me home. And then we pulled into the parking lot, and I broke down. I just cried and cried, and I was terrified. And my husband did exactly what I knew he'd do. He said, you don't have to go in. He said, I'll take the kids in, and you can stay out here. And, like, I even travel with a trash can in my car because I'm so terrified that not only I'll get sick, but maybe one of my kids, like, I can't deal with my kids throwing up in the car. They never have, thankfully, but I have it in my car just in case. And I'm like, no, I have to do this. I have to go in, because if I don't, I'm going to regret it. And so I got out of the car and went in. My anxiety was really high. And then when I got in there, I was there for 5 minutes, and I said, I gotta go. I gotta leave. I can't stay. I gotta go. I can't be in here. And then he said, okay, fine. Okay, you can go. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna go. And then a couple of friends of ours came in as I was heading out. And when I'm around my friends, I kind of like straighten up and like, I'm fine. Hey, how's it going? Like, I'm not going to show you that I'm struggling, because I don't want to explain to you what's going on, because you're not going to understand. Nobody does. Even my husband doesn't understand, and he's with me. So I stuck around and I talked to them because I couldn't tell them. So it was like it was almost a blessing that they were there, because they kept me there. And I did have a good time. There's actually footage of it in one of my videos from me being there. You would never know that I had anxiety. So we left, and by the time we were leaving, it takes me about 30 minutes for my anxiety to calm down. So about 30 minutes in, I was fine, and I enjoyed it. We had a good time. And then I think that was probably like the last time I went out for a while. And then one morning I got up and I forced myself to go get groceries. And the whole time I was in there, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I'm like, I can't breathe. And I was by myself. But I did it. I got my groceries. I've done that twice now. I've gotten groceries twice, probably in the past year, because I can't go out. Not necessarily always because of my anxiety, but because I have 4 kids, and that's not an easy thing, taking all 4 of them to get groceries. So my anxiety that I have normally, and then I have anxiety about fighting with my kids while I'm grocery shopping. So my husband has been getting them, and he doesn't complain, which is great. I mean, I feel bad. I don't like him getting the groceries. To be honest, I hate it because we buy things and people are like, oh, where did you get that? And they're like, oh, you went shopping for this. And I have to say no. Like, I hate saying that my husband went grocery shopping, because I used to love grocery shopping. It was like my favorite time of the week. I could go and get groceries, and I always had a good time. And now it's just miserable. Lenny, go downstairs. Anyway, so go downstairs, honey. Or well, I should say, start over. I've been getting better. It takes me time. Every time I mention it to someone, they say, you should be on medication. But I know for me personally that I have an addictive personality, and medication for anxiety is an addictive medication. I've already talked to my doctor about it. I was put on an anxiety medication, and it just did not make me feel well. And it made me feel worse than what I feel already. So the medication isn't an option for me. There are other ways you can tame anxiety. Anxiety does not have to be treated with a medication, and I don't believe mine is severe enough to treat me because I know how to get myself out of this funk. It just takes time and patience from everyone around me, and some people haven't been so patient or understanding, and others have. So as long as I have the support behind me, then I should get better eventually. Like I went apple picking. I did really well. I was really surprised at how well it was for me to leave. This time of year especially triggers my anxiety because this is flu season, and I'm not afraid of a cold. I'm really not even afraid of the flu. It's only that virus, because that feeling, I mean, everyone else knows that feeling of like upset stomach is like the worst. I would rather be stuffed up for a month than to have that upset stomach feeling. And it's a control thing. When you feel like that, there's nothing you can do. And I was given a medication, Zofran. It's usually given to people with cancer or women who are pregnant that are dealing with morning sickness. I was given that, thankfully, because if I can control the nausea, which that takes care of, then I'm fine. It's kind of like my nausea triggers my anxiety, and if I don't have that nausea, my anxiety doesn't get triggered. So I am on medication, I guess, if you go for that, but I only use it when it's absolutely necessary. I try so hard. I mean, it's not an addictive medication, and it's not going to hurt me that I know of, but I just don't like taking medication. So I only use it when it's absolutely necessary. But like I went out, what's today? The 3rd. I went out trick-or-treating with my kids, and I didn't take my medication. I didn't need it. I was totally fine. We had a great time. I had not a single anxiety attack, no nothing. I had a minuscule moment where I went, am I going to have anxiety? How am I feeling? And then I went, oh, I'm okay. And then we kept going. I did so well. And I literally, when we got in the car after trick-or-treating, I patted my husband on the shoulder and I go, I did it. I did it. And he goes, you did, good job. And I'm like, I did it. I went out. And it's a big deal when I make it out. And I even visited a friend of mine at her job on Halloween. And she looks at me and she goes, you made it out. Like, she helps make it a joke because she deals with anxiety too in a different way than I do. And she makes it comfortable. She understands me. So it's been hard, but it's part of the reason why a lot of my videos haven't gone up, because when I watch stuff on YouTube, I want stuff that's entertaining, stuff that's fun to watch. And because my anxiety is so bad and I can't go anywhere, that I already feel like a terrible mother, because, not gonna cry, because I see all these other moms taking their kids out and doing things, and they're having fun, they're going on vacations, and I can't do that. So I always get these comments, yo, you're such a good mom, you do so well. I just show you the things that I can do, but I never showcase the things that I can't. So And this is something that affects them because they want to go out and do things. And I can't always do that, and they don't understand. And two of my kids also deal with anxiety. So I can't show them what I go through because I don't want to trigger them. So, so I put on a strong face for them. I make sure that they don't know what I go through. And I try to prevent them from getting where I am. So, I that's why my videos have been slow. I didn't have a lot of footage because I'm home. I'm in my pajamas. I'm doing homeschool. I'm working on my own college education at home, which is the reason why I don't go to a brick and mortar school. I do online because I can't go. I have a couple classes that I have to take proctored exams, which if you don't know, that just basically means I have to go to a building to take these exams. So I'm assuming so they know you're not cheating. And that terrifies me. We want to do a vacation next year. Next year will be the last year that Lennox will be free to go to Disney World, and our older two have been twice already. Our younger two have never been, and that vacation terrifies me. I've done it twice and did fine. I mean, I've gone to Disney many times and went a lot as a kid, but with my own children, we've taken them twice. We went 2 years in a row. 1 year. We drive cross country because we're in Maine, and we drove down to Florida. And we want to take the little ones because we know that they'd love it, but I'm terrified, absolutely terrified. And I'm terrified to graduate because that means I have to get a job. That terrifies me. It's just been a heck of a year. I'm coming out of it, but it's hard to get through days where all you want to do is I have all these ideas of things I could do with the kids. Ton of ideas. And just like my daughter started cheering this year, and her very first day, I had to have my mom take her because I couldn't get myself out the door. And my mom left with her to go to practice. It took me about 30 minutes. My husband left with the other kids because my son had soccer. So I was home by myself, and I literally was walking around my house going, just do it. Get dressed. Don't be a baby. Do it. Get your ass together. Do it. Just do it. And I had to talk myself into going. So I talked with my husband, and because this is such a big part of my life, and I love vlogging, I love doing it, I'm going to change my channel. Right now my channel is One Hot Mess, which it is. But I think I want to change my channel to Anxious Mom because that's what my life is, and I want to show what it's like to be a mom of 4, dealing with anxiety and how I deal with it on a day-to-day basis. I want people to see it raw. I want people to see what I go through. From me getting in the car with my kids and just breathing when I get in and saying, just do it. Just go. You can do it. You're fine. go. And I have to, I literally say that out loud. I try to do yoga to try to help my anxiety. And it does help a little. It helps relax you. But I'm going to change my channel, and I want it to focus around my kids and how my kids' lives are with a mom who has anxiety and how I deal with it and basically what it looks like, because I think that anxiety is painted in a way that it's not, anxiety is not one size fits all. Everybody's different. I know people that have sheer panic attacks where they pass out and can't breathe. That's not me. That it doesn't happen for me like that. I know people who just freak out, and again, that's not me. I might cry, not severe, but kind of like you've seen now. I'm not a big crier, but it's different for everybody. So that's what this channel is going to be. It's going to be my journey with anxiety and how I cope with it and how I don't cope with it and how it affects people, because it affects my family. It doesn't just affect me, it affects everyone around me. And my husband puts up with it. He doesn't understand it, and I can tell it frustrates him sometimes, but he deals with it, and I appreciate him for that, because he doesn't make me feel bad about it. And that's the worst thing a person can do, is make someone feel bad about it. Like this year, just recently, there was a family event that was planned, and it was set for a place that's about an hour drive roughly away. And for me, that could have been a 10-hour drive away. It felt like forever. And we called the person that was having this event, and Andrew explained to them what was going on, because up until then they didn't know. And I was having anxiety about going. We want to do the family events, but when it's so far away and in a place where I've never been, it scares me. And your chances of getting me there are slim to none. And they were willing to move it closer so that I could be a part of it. I hate that that had to happen, but it's going to be my only way to get out of this. Eventually, I'll make it that hour drive, but right now, in a couple weeks from now, that's not going to happen. So it's good that I have people who understand, and there's people who say they understand. You can tell that they don't, but they try, and that's what counts, as long as you try to understand. So, ending this video, I'm curious how many others out there deal with anxiety. I feel like there's a lot who are like me and they just don't talk about it, not necessarily because they are ashamed of their anxiety. I feel like people don't talk about it because they're afraid that people aren't going to understand, and they don't want to explain. That's my thing. I don't want to explain to people why I am the way that I am, because I don't even know. If I can't explain it and understand it, then I don't expect you to understand it, and I can't explain it to you. So, that's it. That's the end. Hope you enjoyed it. There should be another video posted. I recorded a little bit on Halloween, so I will include the link to that video in the description, but it should be uploaded about the same time. I didn't get a lot of footage because I thought my camera had like a night thing, and it doesn't, and it got really dark really fast. So there is some good footage, and then there's footage that was just too dark. You can maybe hear what's going on, but you can't really see anything. So have a good week. enjoy the fall weather. I know it's starting to look really beautiful. So I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.